Okay, so we are back at the Ahriman fight. Now, to reach the area right before floor 418, you know, the kind of the sanctuary of the tower, where you can find the Fountain of Healing, the Cathedral of Shadows. To reach that area, we have to pass through this guy. And yeah, I don't know. If you want to skip this boss fight, go ahead and do so. It's just that I love boss fights. Even if I have fought this guy before, but still. As I mentioned before, I really like these 3 boss fights you do. Because they're very, how to say it, gimmicky. So I have acquired Pierce by now, but I do feel that you can go further than just, you know, as I've been doing all this time. I've been using focus, and I've kind of been trying to debuff and buff my party members. Yeah, you know, the whole debuff and buff routine. And then focus and then attack him, which usually does a lot of damage. But I do feel that I am eventually going to need some kind of powerful physical attack, which can make use of Pierce, or I don't know, focus even more. Especially against bosses where they have a high amount of well, if they put up some kind of defense. Well, actually, yeah, so I do know that you're supposed to use Pierce against the final boss fight, but I am a bit hesitant whether Pierce has many uses outside of that fight. I'm trying to think of some situations where it's actually good. Yeah, I guess we'll might be able to think of something eventually. But if the boss or enemy doesn't really have any, you know, physical resistance, I guess it doesn't really matter. There's a few select demons out there which have, well, there's a few select demons which are physically resistant, but that's not really the main point of Pierce, I suppose. Yeah, so I do feel that I need some kind of other powerful physical attack to really make use of it. So the concern here is just how can we deal as much damage to these guys? How can we deal as much damage as possible to this guy? And the limits he puts up in the beginning of the fight, they're not a big deal. Especially not if you debuff him so much that he barely even deals damage to you. Especially during those times when you're not allowed to heal yourself in any way. Enough of this game. Second phase. I do like his design, but I don't think he actually removes debuffs or buffs as much as the other two reason boss fights. So this one is actually easier in that sense. Something which I don't think I've actually given much thoughts into is, you know how there are these types of skills which deals damage multiple times. Against groups, they're kind of random which enemy it actually hits, but against single target enemies, it can potentially hit the enemy multiple times, which is actually pretty good. And as you can see, it's actually pretty good here. And I think I've actually not given these spells much credit through the game. I've always thought of them as somewhat inferior to pure group spells such as Maragi, Dine and such. Whereas those skills actually hits everyone, but against single targets, they only deal damage once. And these so-called random attacks or multiple hit attacks, yeah, they're actually pretty good. If you can, oh, there he removed my buffs. If you can actually make use of them. Yeah, I should really incorporate that to my general strategy more. I do remember that the first time I fought this guy, or actually the last boss fights before Kagutsushi and such, I did hesitate on what spells can I actually use, especially the magic spells. What magic spells can I use to deal as much damage as possible if I don't want to use physical attacks? I don't know why I was contemplating between two. But yeah, enough about that. I guess I just try to somehow maximize the damage I do, and I don't know, I'm a little bit torn between whether magic attacks or physical attacks are actually the strongest overall. In certain cases I would say that, well, I don't know. Like here, if you can use the multiple hits spells, they seem to deal a lot more damage here. But I guess it just comes down to that I can't think of any physical attacks which would deal a lot more damage than... Well, we can give it a try. But as you could see there, Prominence, when it hits 2 times, when you're buffed with Makakaja, it definitely deals more damage when I was using focus and attacking Ahriman, so we'll see what actually deals the most damage. Okay, 1.4k. And yeah, he is so debuffed that whatever he does is not really a problem. Okay. Physical attacks maybe are stronger. Well, you know, it doesn't even matter. Just do what you can do and work with it. Unless the boss does not have any particular resistances, I guess you could just go with whatever. That is, if you do not want to be picky about how much damage you deal, as long as you deal quite a bit of it anyway. Oh, and he's about to die. Technically, to make it even more funny, I guess I could use a lot of physical repel demons for this fight. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. You know, when he does the tentacle attack. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter how you want to play the game. Yeah, so that was an easy fight. But yeah, naturally it was. I think I know that there was a Magatama that I did acquire in the tower here. And I think it was the one who has Frey Kugel. I don't... Oh yeah, I think it's actually up at safe area / sanctuary. Yeah, so it's a good reason for me to actually reach that area and work with that one. I am not sure how good Frey Kugel is, but yeah, as I mentioned, it would be nice to have a strong physical attack, since I actually have Pierce. Although Pierce in itself is more like, if you use this skill, you shouldn't have to worry too much about enemies which are physically resistant. Okay, so we have acquired the first stone, which we need to put into the pedestal at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Magatamas. So the Magatama we acquire up here in the tower is one of them, and another one is the one you win from the minigame, which the Pyrojack's minigame back in Asakusa. And then there's the four of them. Sorry. Then there's the other 4, which I am not sure where you can get them from. Not picking the pink box! And you got a bead this time. Sweet. Kailash. This was the Magatama, which has Frey Kugel in it, if I recall correctly. Oh, I think I need to take a break soon. Yeah, so now we just have to do the grindings. Now, I guess you could say now is when this fun starts in this tower. I'm not sure if I want to overwrite my save files from the neutral normal ending, but yeah, whatever.